Okay, today in this video, I'm going to discuss some of the objectives that a firm might have. So let's look at the objectives, and please do keep in mind that you also have to do an evaluation of each of these objectives. Okay, so there are around 8 objectives that a firm might have. Now, it might seem very common sense to think that a firm should have only one objective, which is profit maximization. Okay, the objective of most of the firms is profit maximization. Is profit maximization. It will be the preferred objective of most managers. Okay, so but can this always be a sustainable objective? That is a big question mark. Okay, now what is profit? Profit is the reward for risk taking. Okay, you take a risk, you bring the factors of production together, you're taking a risk, so the risk needs to be rewarded. Of course, if you're taking a risk, there can also be a loss. Okay, there can also be a loss, there can also be a punishment for that risk. But if there is a reward for that risk, then that risk uh, then that reward will be the profit. Okay, um, there are several problems with having this as your main objective. The main problem is going to be that when number one, the main problem, now this is something that has to be used in evaluation. The main problem will be that this is going to invite competitors into the market, because when you are making a profit, they also want to make a profit. So how will you evaluate it? You will say that the coming in of competitors will mean that customers will be lost to them, and your revenue might not increase at the pace at which you are expecting it to increase. Okay, in order to increase the revenue, in order to increase the profit, one strategy is to increase the price. Now, if you increase the price, what happens? The customer will react. The customer may react negatively. Okay, so some of the though it is a sensible and a common sense objective, um, sometimes it might have some limitations as well. Okay, the second objective is satisficing. What do you mean by satisficing? Satisficing means you can achieve enough profit. I mean, this is not profit maximization. You are going for profit, but just enough profit to keep you happy. You are not working overtime, you're not working to the maximum of your capacity to earn as much profit as possible. Okay, many small firms have this objective. I want to live comfortably. Okay, I want to have leisure time, so I will just be satisfied with a certain amount of profit that I'm earning. Another objective that a business can have is growth. What do you mean by growth? Growth, when you're talking about, don't confuse this with economic growth. This is the growth which is concerned with sales, the increase in sales, the increase in output. So, as your sales increase, your assets will increase, your business will expand. Okay, but then expansion brings its own problems. In order to expand, you might have to first and foremost, in order to increase sales, you might have to give long credit period. Return me the money in 3 months time. Now what's going to happen in those 3 months? You might have a cash crunch. If you are expanding, you're going into a big building, you're going into a big factory, that requires cash outlays. So that is also going to create. So one of the evaluations, or one of the problems associated with rapid growth, is cash flow concerns or cash flow problems. Okay, uh, sales growth. In order to increase sales, what do? You want your sales to increase. So what are you going to do? You are going to sell your product at a lower price. Okay, you want to increase you want to increase the volume of your sales, you want to increase your overall revenue. So on per unit, you will have to reduce your profit margins. So the profit that you charge per unit will go down. So what happens? Sales revenue will increase, but profit margins will go down. Okay, When businesses become very big, now this is something that we will discuss in another chapter as well, but please do keep two things in mind for now. That when growth becomes very big, then two big problems occur. One is communication problem, the second is coordination problem. Taken together, these two problems are called diseconomies of scale. Scale in business means size, economies means saving, diseconomies means dissaving, losses, increase in cost. So when there are diseconomies of scale, there's going to be increase in cost because of the increase in size, because you are not able to communicate with your workers and you're not able to coordinate the many activities that are going on in your business. Okay. If you are, for example, a company, now what can a company do? A company can use retained earnings in order to grow. Now in order to have more retained earnings, you are going to have to give less and less dividends to your shareholders. The shareholders incomes will fall, so that may make the shareholders unhappy in the short run. Okay. And also, if you are if your business is going into other areas to grow, areas which are not your core business areas, then what's going to happen? Your That's a risk. Okay, you may get out of your core activities, and the resulting loss of focus might lead to decrease in revenues of your core business. Okay, so that is an objective, and we have discussed its evaluation. Another objective can be increasing the market share. Okay, increasing the market share. First, try and understand what market share means. Market share is the percentage of sales that you are doing in the overall market. Let's say that the petrol. Let's talk about the petrol market. The petrol being sold in the market is $1 million. Just an example, $1 million. Out of that $1 million, $100,000 you are selling. Other companies are selling 900,000, you are selling 100,000. So what is your market share? It's 100,000 divided by 1 million, which is 10%. You control 10% of the market. So if you increase your market share, automatically your revenue in the long run will increase. Okay, and this is related to increase in sales. It is related to expanding the business. Okay, so your growth is ultimately going to reflect in a higher market share. Your expansion is going to express itself in a higher market share. Okay, so uh, uh, that is another objective. uh, it's a very good sign in certain ways. If your market share is increasing, it means that your marketing activity is really beneficial. And high market share means a lot of good things for the business. Your retailers will be happy to put your stock in their shops because they know that it's going to sell and they are going to also make money out of it. I mean, mobile sellers would love to have Apple products in their shops. Why? Because they know it's going to sell. Okay. The other thing that which you will use in the analysis is that the margins that you will give to the retailer, the money that you will give to the retailer to sell the product, is going to be less. So your cost will be reduced and more profit will remain in your pocket. Okay, so these are some of the strategies that you will use. Of course, one of the strategies which is used especially in the beginning stages of the business, when the business is starting up, so that is called survival strategy. Survival simply means that for startup business, because remember, 75% of all new startup businesses fail, and those who start businesses know that they know the problems. So the first thing is survive for the first 2 to 3 years. Okay, that is in the beginning the main aim of the entrepreneur. Another very important aim which has come into vogue now is corporate social responsibility. Simply, yes, you have to make a profit, but you keep the interest of the community in mind. You keep the interest of the society in mind. You keep the interest of the environment, of the employees in mind. Okay, there is a big question mark in the industry. Should firms have this objective in the first place also or not? Okay, should corporate social responsibility be adopted as an objective or not? This is a big question mark. Okay, why have people adopted this? It's because of the increasing pressure applied by pressure groups. Okay, now what are pressure groups? Pressure groups are groups of these are interest groups that put pressure on the businesses to adopt certain policies and on the government to adopt certain laws. Okay, so they might put pressure on the government to make laws that will force the firms to use environmentally friendly production methods. So another thing is, uh, previously firms used to pay their workers very low wages. I mean, criminally low wages. But that is not possible anymore. There is regulation. There are legal changes brought about by these pressure groups. And these pressure groups will give you very bad publicity if you do not use good, socially responsible practices. And that bad responsibility will ultimately mean reduction in sales and reduction in revenue, and there lies your analysis and your evaluation. Okay. Consumers have also become very conscious about environmentally healthy products. Previously we were using synthetic products, we were using products that were harmful to health, but now people have become very health conscious. Think of, just go on the YouTube and see the number of YouTube channels that are just devoted to good and healthy lifestyle. You'll be amazed. Okay, so people are learning. Don't think, and look at the views that these channels are getting. So people are learning, people know, now they are aware, so they are not going to accept products that are of bad quality. They will not accept products that are tested on animals. Okay, so Peter Drucker, who was one of the main management theorists of the 20th century, um, uh, they say that he says that the firms now have public responsibility, because if they do not behave responsibly, then there are going to be consequences, and that's going to hurt their profits. Okay. And many consumer groups, they do not uh, think that firms are adopting these practices uh, really because they are committed to the society. They believe that this is more like a public relations stunt. Okay, we will continue with this discussion in the next video when we look at the last three objectives of the firm. Thank you very much indeed.